There once was a quiet boy who spent his summer sketching the night sky, but his peaceful life changed when a loud and energetic girl came bounding up the hill he liked to spend his evenings on. She was painting the sunset and didn't notice him sitting on the hilltop across from her. Every evening after that, she would come to this hill to paint the sunset and he would sit on top of it and sketch her. He was too shy to talk to her, so he just observed her from afar, watching how her hair shone gold in the evening light and how her eyes sparkled like the stars he loved so much. He liked her, but he knew he had no chance with someone as bright and beautiful as her. So he just kept sketching her and the one-sided love he had for her, hoping that maybe if he poured all his feelings into his art, she would somehow sense them. One day, though, she stopped coming to the hill to watch the sunset. And after a week, he gathered up all his courage and went to look for her. He found her in a small cafe, and she looked surprised to see him. "I've been looking everywhere for you," he said, and she tilted her head in confusion. You're not coming to the hill anymore?" he asked, and she let out a sigh. "It's the end of summer," she said. "And my family is moving away. We're going back to America." He felt his heart sink to his stomach. It had never occurred to him that she might leave. He had always assumed that they would stay here together forever. "Oh," was all he could say. She stood up and walked over to him. "Thank you for the memories," she said, and he blushed. I didn't even realize that you were leaving," he stammered. She smiled sadly. "That's why I wanted to see you one last time. I wanted to tell you goodbye in person." She took a deep breath. I liked you, she said, and his eyes widened in surprise. "You did?" he whispered, and she nodded. "But I knew you didn't feel the same way about me, so I never said anything." "I'm sorry if that made things weird between us," she said, and he shook his head quickly. "No, it's not weird," he said, blushing. I liked you too." He took a deep breath. I really liked you." She smiled sadly and reached out to touch his cheek. "Goodbye," she whispered, and he closed his eyes as a tear rolled down his face. When he opened them again, she was gone. He stood up and walked out of the cafe, and he didn't feel like returning to the hill anytime soon. It had become a place of bittersweet memories and the pain of goodbyes. Instead, he went to the beach, sat on a nearby rock and watched the sunset over the horizon. It wasn't as beautiful as the view from the hill, but it brought back a different kind of memory, a memory of their first meeting. That summer, he had been sitting on this same rock watching the sunset when he first noticed her. She had been playing in the waves and laughing, and her happiness had shone like a beacon, drawing his gaze towards her. He had been so captivated by her energy and enthusiasm for life that he had forgotten about the sunset. But now, as he watched the sun sink below the horizon, he remembered that day and the girl who had filled it with laughter. He smiled sadly and got up to leave. As he walked away, he heard a voice calling his name. He turned around and saw her standing on the shore, waving at him. "Come back to the hills sometime," she said, her voice echoing in the twilight. "Maybe we can watch the sunset together one last time before I go." He hesitated for a moment, torn between the pain of saying goodbye and the joy of seeing her one last time. In the end, he nodded and waved back. "Okay," he whispered, and she smiled. The next evening, he returned to the hill alone. The sunset was beautiful, but he couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. He missed her laughter and the way she had filled his summer with color and light. As the sun dipped below the horizon, he closed his eyes and made a wish on the first star he saw. He wished with all his might that she would stay, that the summer would last forever and that his one-sided love would somehow become real. But when he opened his eyes, she was still gone. And all he had to show for his love were his sketches and the memories he had poured into them.